Thanks, Aspen. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a book in your conference bag called Rise. It is the autobiography of our Springbok captain. It is an honest and open, no-holds-barred memoir of his life, both on the field and off the field. In his own words, he tweeted this when the book was launched: "My words, my truth," or "my truth in my own words." I recommend the read. And it's my privilege now to welcome Siya onto the stage. Won't you give our captain a big round of applause? Two things quickly. Note that Siya is also wearing white sneakers. I'm just saying.
It wasn't planned.
And we're sitting down because to stand next to Siya, I feel a bit like a hobbit. You'll notice on the agenda it says from township to test rugby. Siya, I know that doesn't sit well with you because for you it's township and test rugby. You didn't escape the township. It's still very much part of your life. It's part of who you are. So maybe kick off just with that story.
Yeah,
and good to have you with us.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, or afternoon. Honored to be here. And yeah, just with that, I think saying from township to test rugby, it's like saying I've left the township, or it's better, what I'm doing now. I actually haven't left the township at all. I think the person that I am, the values that I have, I learned all of them from the township. I think people who've never been to the township have different ideas what it looks like there, and yes, we do struggle financially, but I think in spirit, we're very happy people, and we are hardworking people, and that's what I learned from a very young age, because people there are actually looking for opportunities each and every single day. I remember on the main road, people would walk long distances and stand next to the road at like 5 o'clock in the morning, and they wait for someone to pick them up just to clean a garden, do whatever small jobs they have, because they want to work, but it's just that there's not a lot of opportunities. And we also learned to use what we have. I remember I didn't have a toy when I was young. I couldn't afford a toy, and there was a brick at my house that was just laying there. Wow. And then I used that as my car, and I drove it, and I loved it. I washed it, I parked it. It actually made the other kids jealous of how much I loved this brick, and they had all these toys. And for rugby sport, we trained in a field that was full of thorns, and there were patches of grass. There's not a lot of grass. I went there each and every single day, because this is all we had. And if I didn't do that, I wouldn't have been prepared for the opportunity that came. People are always looking for opportunities, but they're sitting and complaining about what they don't have, but not utilizing what they have. And me going to training every day, when the opportunity came, I was fully prepared, because I was at training every day, even though, the thorns became like a small thing after a while. A thorn comes and you break it and you carry on running. But I can't do that nowadays. My feet are soft now. I've got shoes and stuff. I'm living the soft life
Softy.
now. I'm soft now. Yeah. But I really love the township, and I still do. And I still do a lot of work there, because my story, I wrote this book. This is just not my story. It's a story of many South Africans. I'm not special in any shape or form. I'm not unique in any shape or form. There are people who are living in far worse conditions than I did. And I got given an opportunity, and I've got a talent. I've got a gift that it's not just for me. My gift is for me to look after my family, yes, get my family in a better place, but I've got a responsibility and a role, like all of us here in the room. I have to make sure that I'm doing something for somebody else too. And with the foundation, we started tackling some of the challenges that I faced when I was a young kid, and that's what I'm trying to use this platform for, not just for me, for many other people in South Africa.
You say in your book, life is unfair. Now, you got, in fact, you mentioned now, I had this opportunity given to me. So an opportunity to go to Grey, which is 15 minutes away from Zweden. And you talked about there were other players in your community that you thought were better than you that didn't get the opportunity. And that's where this whole life is unfair, and yet that helped you think or dream differently. Just talk to me about that. I mean, how do you...
Yeah. So, I mean, when I was in the township, the cool people and the people that have money that we look up to, your taxi drivers, the gangsters, you know, and like that's not for everyone like that. I'm just speaking about me in this thing. Those are the people that I looked up. Those are the cool people. And that was, my dreams were limited there because of what I had around me. Then I moved 15 minutes to Grey. I remember the drive. I was driving with my mom. No English whatsoever. She has no English. I remember the teacher was telling her stuff. She's like, yes, that's all she knew. Yes, yes. And then I told her, I'm like, do you know, you don't even know what they're saying. But I said it in closer. She started laughing because she's like, I don't care. I just want you here because I can see this is going to be a better life for you. Either way. So then I got there, just the building, looking at the building. I'm not even joking to you. I started like, I want to be a doctor because the facilities, the grass. I was training in a thorny field. Looked like carpet to me. I'm like, I can fall on this all day. They can tackle me every single day. I'll be happy to fall here. And then I had meals, like simple thing like food, where I would go days without eating in the township. And I loved going to school because at school you get one meal a day. You get a slice of bread with peanut butter or jam, and then you get this powder milk they put into water, and that's what you get. And I used to eat a loaf because some kids had lunch money, and the poor ones would eat that, and it was quite embarrassing because everybody knew then you come from a home that doesn't have money. I didn't care. I'm like, I'm gonna eat. So I would ask all the kids that had lunch, can I please take your bread and give it to me? I still remember it's in Njajambo Primary School in PE. Our school is next to a highway, and I would take all the kids' bread and I would put it together, and I would take like a jug of milk, and then I'll go lay by the grass and watch the cars drive by. I'll finish that whole loaf of bread, and that will be my meal for. I'll go train for the school, and then I'll do my homework at school, then I'll go train for my club, and then I would watch my club. I'll get home at about 7 because, you know, when I was young, I got involved in smoking and stuff when I was about 8 years old because it was normal.
Wow.
And we would smoke petrol and all these kind of things because it was a normal thing to do. But then when I started going to rugby, I started staying there because it felt a bit safer for me, and I found like a place of belonging because when I was in the training, all my teammates would come look for me. So then I moved away from a certain crowd, then I was with this crowd, and that one meal will carry me throughout the whole day. And sometimes I wouldn't eat again. And I always think about me. When I speak about my book, and after I wrote the book, I thought to myself, my grandmother, I never saw her eating, I never saw her complaining. I would cry in the middle of the night, and every time she got a meal, or she went to go visit someone, she's got a slice of bread or a cookie, you know, when you someone makes you tea, she puts it in the pocket and brings it for me. And I really saw her eat, but I never saw her complain once. And that's like the person that looked after me and raised me, and that taught me a lot, especially in how to be content no matter what the situation is, and how to be positive, you know, and how to show your kids love, support, and all of that. Even if you don't have anything, you can still do, you know, and that's, I really owe a lot of me to her.
I think you were 10 years old when she died in your arms, didn't she?
Yeah, I think I was 10 or 9. You know what, I was young, I didn't understand what was happening. So she used to look after me, and then she got sick. Then I had to stop going to school. Then I had to wash her and feed her, and because my uncle went to work, my dad lived in Cape Town, and the one day in the kitchen, she fell, and I caught her and I put her down, and obviously she was gone. And yeah, then I had to call the neighbor. They came, and the one pastor said, "Nah, she's passed away." So I had to go call my uncle from work. And then, yeah, when I got older, I kind of was. It's tough because I was young, but at the same time, I'm grateful because she was the closest person to me, and I was able to say goodbye to her. And I really wish. So one person I wish she was still here because
She would have been proud of you.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so.
we're a self-care federation congress. You talked about eating a loaf of bread, and everyone's going, "That's not self-care," but it could be, in many instances. But we use what we can. You- how would you relay what you learned from your grandmother to your own kids? And maybe as you get into parenting, I'd love you to just tell us the difference between leading a Springbok squad and being a dad, because leadership is leadership,
Yeah. No, it's tough. It's tough. I struggle quite a lot to go in and out of the two because we are away for most of the time. My wife has been the one that's been carrying the whole family, raising the kids. My brother did he was at his valedictory the other day, and my wife was there on the first day. Now she's there on the last day, and I've missed all of those opportunities, to be there for my kids' birthdays too, because that's what is needed, for rugby. So when I go away for a long time, and then I come back home, I find it difficult to adjust. It takes me quite a while, and obviously there's a bit of irritation because your partner expects you to fall back into things, and it takes me quite a while. But it is different. You got to be patient with kids, and all they want is time. That's what I realized. They want quality time with them. They don't. The gifts are not so important. I remember I was in Australia, and my daughter called me. She told me she missed me. I was like, I miss you too. What can I get you? She's like, all I want is you to come home and not leave us anymore. And those conversations are difficult, and that's what people don't see, and that's what's so difficult when we lose a game and people think we're losing it on purpose, and they think, we give everything at all times, and these sacrifices that we make also do affect us, because if I'm not with my family all the time, I struggle quite a bit, because they my energy. They lift me, they motivate me. I do what I do because of them. But I do my best when I'm there to be available, to be present at all times. I've learned to try and put my phone away when I'm with my kids, because that's all they want, and then it becomes difficult when I have to leave again.
Yeah. Look, I'm really finding it hard to just imagine our captain, who's just taken on some of the greatest giants in rugby history, coming home and his wife's going, "The garbage, you wash the dishes," but
when I got announced as captain for the Stormers, not for the Springboks, I was so happy. I went home. No, I called her. I'm the captain of the team. I'm so excited. And then I got home, and then she made me wash dishes. I'm like, no, I'm the captain. She's like, not here, not in this house. I'm the captain here.
Oh, that's beautiful. Girl power, man. I love it. You've touched on this briefly. I'd love to go a little deeper, if I may. You make a statement. You say, "I'm not a self-made man." And I think that relates to this whole idea of it takes a village to raise a child. It's the relationships that just feed into your life. I'd love you to talk to that a bit.
Yeah, no, 100%. I really don't believe in self-made, because you do need people along the way who open doors for you, who create opportunities for you, who help you along the way. And for me, it was my grandmother and my aunt at times, and then my school teacher, Eric Songwiki, who saw me as a kid and took me from one school and brought me to his, and then Mr. Hadakis, who took me to Grey, and Vincent May, who pays the school fees, for the bursaries for all the kids. So there are so many people, but the biggest thing is Ubuntu for me, as a person through other people, and that's what I learned in my community. Like when I was hungry, I could knock on my neighbor's door, and I could go. In the township, I knew almost everybody in the community, and in the township, you are not just your parents' child, you the child of the whole community. If you do something naughty, they discipline you at that house, they bring you home, you get disciplined again, so I love that, because that's where we learn our manners, from there. You treat everybody with respect, and helping one another, and knowing that your success, if you're doing well, that's not enough. If your neighbor is hurting, you got to make sure you do what you can to put your neighbor in a better place. I think that's what the problem is in the world right now. We only care about ourselves. How do I reach my dreams and goals, and forgetting what else is happening? In South Africa right now, with all the problems that we are having, we need people who have a platform, who have resources, to do far more than just looking after themselves, you know. We need to be purpose-driven other than, you know, just looking to reach the company goals. How do we access that? And one thing I love, you know, I hear that we're talking about self-care here. From our foundation, the first thing we did, we knew when COVID hit, we started during COVID. We knew when COVID hit, like for me coming from the township, our clinics there are going to struggle because they're the last places that the government will send, will give PPE and all that and support them. Espen was the first company to donate to us, and we went to Zwede Clinic and we went to Livingston Hospital. We donated PPE. We looked after all the staff so that they can do their job, you know. And it's companies like this that is so amazing. And staff was the person that I spoke to, and that's where we need to be, you know, because we all got a role to play. And I understand the government is not going to get everything right. We might not agree with what they do, but what are you doing in your own capacity to make sure you're making South Africa a better place? Instead of complaining, what can you do as a company? Yes, you have your own, your company goals, you want to reach these numbers, you want to get there, but what are you doing for someone else? What's going to drive you? Because you're going to get those numbers, then what more to aspire to? And I always believe, for me, my foundation is my purpose. The harder I play, the harder I work. Every time when I don't want to wake up in the morning, I always think about the women that have been abused in South Africa. If I don't go work, people want to hear someone that's doing well. They want to work with them. And I think about the women that are struggling in our country, that I must use my voice as a man to make sure that I'm adding value in this gender-based violence conversation, you know. And the kids that we work with in the township, if I don't work hard and do my job, they're not going to be able to get the meals that they get each and every single day. And I think that's where we need to move to as a country and as people. And our kids too, we need to teach them that way. There's too many problems in this world, and we all have a role to play, and we need to start with our children young. And I take my kids to the foundation work. I want them to see, and I explain to them, because this is what we all have to do. Look after yourself, look after your family, but what can you do for somebody else?
Yeah, I think you've said, yep. I think you made a lovely statement when you said, if we educate our boys, we won't need to protect our girls, and I loved that. Yeah. Can I ask you a really personal question? I think as a young boy, you tell the story of picking up some of your mother's teeth after she'd suffered a beating. Yeah. And you were too young to help her then, but now you can. At this stage, you've been given a platform. Just tell us that story and how that changes her.
Yeah, so gender-based violence started becoming a norm for me from a young age. I experienced it at home. I saw it at home, which was very difficult. You can't run away from it. And yeah, it's not nice at all, because I still remember the sounds vividly. You know, hearing somebody you love going through that. Also, hearing men cry like that, because men fight all the time. And I was young, I'd wake up in the middle of the night. It was almost a common thing, especially when alcohol was involved. And I would be playing with my friends in the street, and the one day I picked up my mom's teeth. She didn't have two front teeth, so it was a false teeth. And yeah, and just seeing my mom's face change over and over again with scar after scar, and yeah, it was not nice at all. And my aunt experienced the same. It was very painful. It was very difficult, because there was nothing I could do. And now that I'm much older and I have a platform, I'm able to help other women. You know, actually not help women, help men, talk to men. You know, because a lot of this happens because men don't talk, men don't have safe spaces, men think all they have to do is provide, and we need to do so much more than that. You know, and what I learned, women can speak so well, they can express themselves so well. And that's why men always come, oh, women talk a lot. It's good. We need that. We need to talk a lot as men amongst ourselves. In the offices, we need to have this difficult conversation. I think every office should have talks about gender-based violence, because gender-based violence is not about being physical. It's also how you look and treat women in your office. We are equals. That's what I try and do at home. There's stuff that I can do that my wife can't do, but the stuff that she can do that I can't do, you know, and the stuff that she can do that I can also do, like cooking and all that stuff. I cook where I can, and I clean where I can.
Take the garbage out where you can.
I clean where I can, and I do it on purpose in front of my son, in front of my daughter, and because I want them to know it's okay. Because I grew up in a home where women are the ones that go into the kitchen, and men just go work and come back. But my wife also works and she brings money home. So why can't I be the one also cooking, you know? And things like in my culture, when I grew up, they say, "Indoda kal," a man doesn't cry. That's nonsense. That's why we become so hard, because we keep everything in. We keep everything in. Somewhere along the line, it's gonna burst out, and that's why we create more safe space. We need to create more safe spaces for men to speak and express themselves, and they feel comfortable, you know. And also, women always tell us, if you don't know, just ask. We need to ask. Is it fine for me to look at you this way in the office? Do you feel uncomfortable, you know? And we need to call each other out in the office and say, hey, you can't be looking at the lady. And we're always making this excuse, but she shouldn't wear that. We walk around the topless half of the time. They, you know, it's, why can we have all these rights and women don't, you know? And it's very important to have more men talking about this. And like yesterday, I went on a live to talk about this kind of stuff on Instagram. Most of my following is men. If I say anything about gender-based violence, the views just go down.
Wow.
They don't want to hear it. Yeah. They would rather hear me talking about, oh, I tackled that guy, bro, I hit him so hard. That's what men like. You know, I got big biceps, I just press, they comment and all that stuff. I post about gender-based violence or supporting women in sport, nothing. Nothing at all. If you look at my page, when I post about the South African women's team, no likes. If I post the Springboks, everything goes high. And me as a male sportsman, I can't get tired, because women have been fighting this fight since the beginning of time. I just got involved in it now. I just got to keep on promoting and keep on having these conversations going forward.
Oh, Siya, thank you. Yeah. Okay, the guy's not such a saint. You know? And I say that it's a loaded statement because this really, you share your heart and you share the truth about your upbringing, about your life. And it wasn't always, you know, the almost Mandela-like figure that we see today. And I almost want to ask you that question. Because you shared so openly and honestly, are you not afraid that the reputation you have, as we look up to you, is going to be a little bit tarnished? Because, you know, you weren't always this good guy.
No, I'm not. That's what I want people to always see me. I'm not perfect. Like, I'm not perfect, not even a little bit. I make mistakes each and every single day, but I'm willing to learn. And I'm willing to own up to my mistakes, and I'm willing to have people advise me along the way. And I'm not scared to make mistakes and own up to them. And that's the important thing. I know when I've messed up, I must go be accountable to that and then find a way forward. And I can't, like, so many people write books about all the nice stuff. All of us have our own stuff that we don't want to talk about, but I thought to myself, I just want to be myself at all times. Even doing something like this, I don't like to prepare because I want to be myself. Because you say one thing and then you act a certain way, you know, and I want people to know that I will definitely make mistakes. People will read about something that I do. I don't do it on purpose. I know who I am and I know what my values are. And I'm not perfect and I'll never be perfect, but I'll keep on striving to be better each and every single day. And people struggle with stuff, and I have a platform. Like when I talk about, I see a therapist, I talk to someone, we go to marriage counseling, me and my wife. People should do that. It's normal. It's like I always talk to Maklatsi. He tells me mental health is an important thing, because it's like when I get injured, I'll go for an operation, then I'll do rehab. It's the same as mental health. And we're making it, people feel embarrassed and stuff, and I don't want to hide that, because I've seen too many people take their lives, especially men, you know, because we judge each other, we want to compete and all that. But this stuff we must talk about. If you're going through something, if you're comfortable, share it, or share it with people around you. You don't have to do it publicly like I did, but I just want all these things to be normal. You know, because we are all normal human beings. We all face the same problems, no matter where you are. And all this stuff doesn't have gender or what class you're in, rich or poor, or whatever skin color you are. We all face these problems, and we can all help one another. That's another thing, looking after human race. If you've got a way that can you deal with stuff better, share it with others, because you want everybody to be successful. We compete too much. You want to keep it to yourself. You want to make sure it works. Share it with other people.
The World Health Organization has famously said there is no health without mental health. Yeah. So you're preaching to the choir here, Siya. I've still got images of Eben Etzebeth with eyes this big, glaring at an opponent. And yeah, it was a lovely moment for a Springbok fan. But what's your relationship with the other giant in the team like? I mean, Eben, there's a connection.
We've been friends since we were 17. Wow. 17 years old. He's probably my proper first Afrikaans friend. Went to his house, had a braai when we were 19 years old, and we got really close. And I know him through, like, since he was young. I know his whole story. I respect him so much. And yeah, he also has his own story that hopefully I told him he needs to tell it one day, because people need to see the person behind that face that you saw when he's tried to strangle the other guy. There's a much sweeter person under that. He's a very simple guy. He loves his family a lot. He loves people that are close to him. He doesn't make too many friends. Yeah. He likes to keep it close, and loves his live Afrikaans music, which I've started to love too. It's amazing. You should get on it. I promise you, it'll change your life. Even if you don't understand the words, it just sounds deep and emotional. Yeah. It's really beautiful.
Can you socky is the question? You know?
No, I can do my stuff. Yeah, no, so we're very good friends, and yeah, I've learned a lot from him. We do have also difficult questions, stuff we don't argue, we don't see eye to eye, especially racial stuff sometimes. If he wants to ask something, that's important to have people outside your own race. And you have to ask these questions. And it's simple stuff like, mark up black men, we don't like if you touch our head and remove our head. This is small stuff like that, that it can blow up into bigger things. And I think in offices too, those conversations, because we're all different, and we need to see, people don't say don't see color, that's nonsense. You must see color, because we all come with different things in that, and you need to try and understand the other person in another race.
Yeah. You said about your book, you finished the book, and I think you and Rachel looked at it, spent a couple of days reading over it, and then took out half of the book. I mean, it's already a thick book as it is. What didn't make it into the book?
It was me and Mahlatsi. The chief, we said, because an English guy did it, and some of his slang, like I'm from the township, he says like, oh, heck, something like that. I'm like, oh, I don't know what that means. So we had to change, and also they make stuff dramatic, and also just the way, you can't speak any way you want in South Africa. You gotta be respectful, and you gotta see, because this book is about, I could have written I could have added drama in, that's a lot of it that I took out, because drama sells in South Africa. But I really thought my story, I said, if my story is not good enough, then it's okay, because this book wasn't about making money. It was about actually telling my story, and hopefully one or two people can learn something from it, especially young people who are not only sportsmen, who want to make it in life. I want them to understand what comes with being famous, with having money. Yes, you can buy a home for your family, but what are the challenges that come with it? How can parents prepare their kids? How can someone coming from the township, like the agents, the teachers, how can they help them, mentor them to learn how to spend their money? Because before I met Rachel, I bought cars. I wanted to drive home to my township, because that's how the people must see with what you're wearing and how you dress. But I don't even home yet, Then I met Rachel. She fell pregnant before we got married, and I had this car. She said, that must go. Your friends are out of the house. This must go. I was like, what
The
are you trying to
captain
do?
spoke.
Yeah, she spoke, and then I resisted for 2 days. Everything was gone. Everything was my friends were, because I was staying, I bought a house and all my friends lived with me, and they didn't pay rent, they didn't pay anything. She's like, out, 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 out. I was like, oh, I'm gonna tell Eben to let them out. And then Eben called me, he's like, Rachel spoke to me. I was like, they're out. They're all gone. You don't, when Eben speaks, you do what he says, quick, quick.
You do exactly that.
Yeah, no, because in the field, I'm not a fighter. I do get aggressive sometimes in the field, but not all the time, because rugby players, they gym, now they want to feel strong on TV, impress their girlfriends, and like they want to push it. I'm like, you're not going to hit him, so why do we do this? It's a waste of time. We could be using this energy for something else. So
Winning a game.
when people come and push me, like I remember I got in a scuffle with Cotnos Kosa, and he played for the Lions. And then somebody grabbed me. I was on top of him, and then somebody grabbed my neck. And then I was about to panic. I'm like, no, I've got Eben in my team. It took him 3 seconds. The guy was off my back. I said, yep, he's arrived. Then I carried on fighting with this guy at the floor. My first game against Scotland as a Springbok came on, and I came on like it's the first game. And you want to look hardcore because I want them to be scared of me. I had a bald head, so I ran in, and then the first person that hugs me is Eben, because he's got big hands. My head was still small then because I had bald. Then he puts his hand around my head, but it covers the whole head. So I'm like, what you doing, man? I'm trying to intimidate them. Now you're covering my head. They're going to think I'm cute and stuff. And then I got into a fight that game. Somebody tried to fight me, and then Eben came again to my rescue. And that's why he's at the Sharks now, so he can fight for me.
Protect your brothers for life, man. I'm having the same trouble that Alan was having earlier, that I can't refresh my app. So I'm not sure if anyone's posted any questions on the app. If you have, in fact, see, I'm going to try and reach over and see if I can get it here. There we go. You're welcome to post some questions too, Siya. Oh, grab
What's
the
the
water.
question?
Yeah, well, I've got
To
plenty
me?
to you. Well, not post it, as in put it on the app. You know, there's no... How did you and Rachel meet, by the way?
We met at a dinner in Geno's in Stellenbosch. I'm going to leave it there. I'm not saying anymore.
Guys, I'm so sorry. I cannot refresh either app, so we're going to stick with some of these questions. You have a tattoo on your hand. I've been looking at that tattoo as you've been speaking. You've got a couple of tattoos. Maybe you want to talk us through both of those. What are they for our audience?
This is my son, Nicholas, and this is my brother, Liema, and this is just a lady, an angel, whatever you want to call it. And these is my grandmother, my aunt, and my mother. The three ladies that obviously my mother, and then my grandmother and my aunt looked after me, and they all passed away. So when they passed away, I did that. That's just a flower.
Just a flower.
Yeah, and then I've got others in my body.
An absence of your dad. Maybe tell us about your father.
My dad.
Your relationship with your dad.
Yeah, it's better now. It's a work in progress because he wasn't there for so many years, and I didn't understand. You know, going to Grey and seeing all the kids being picked up by their parents, being kissed goodbye. You know, it just then I started like, okay, does my dad not want me? So I didn't understand for a long time. We didn't get along. Like I didn't understand because we never had a conversation. I didn't understand what was happening. So last year, for the first time, I had to sit down and I had a conversation with my dad. And this is why I think this is part of the reason why there's so much fatherlessness. Because kids give up on their parents, not knowing what happened. Because my dad told me he had to leave. He couldn't find a job in PE. He had to leave and go to Cape Town. And he was trying to find an opportunity. He struggled there too. So he was away for such a long time looking for an opportunity. And I didn't know that. And I was always resentful and upset at him. And then having that conversation with him made me understand. And also, he lived at his mom's house when he had me when he was young. And in that time, the grandparents always raised their children. Sorry, yeah, they looked after their kids, and it was a normal thing. So I wanted my dad like all the other kids at school, not knowing that those kids' backgrounds are different. Where they started, what their parents had, is different to my dad. So having that conversation was so important, and it's difficult. It was difficult to have it because those things are not normal. It's awkward for us to talk because my parents, I never see my uncles and them have heart-to-heart conversations. And if somebody hurts you, it's sorry, move on, don't talk about it, and move forward. But now we've started working on it, and it's better. It's getting better and better. I'm actually trying to get him a house because the house in the township, people love to see how I grew up. So I'm trying to do something in my community to uplift it, to raise funds that we don't need to look after them. So I'm gonna turn my house into, I'm gonna leave it as it was when I was young, so people can come and view it. And then I'm trying to create walks. People can walk the same journey as I used to walk to school, and then like start little restaurant, not a restaurant, like where they cook my favorite foods, but have different people cook the different food that I liked as a kid.
And what are those favorite foods?
Umphokoqo, like ulusu, inhloko, that's tribe.
We got some
That's a
international
sheep
guests here.
head.
There we
Okay, tribe, sheep head, sheep feet, and chicken feet. It's very nice, by the way. It's just a lot of admin. Yeah, all of that. It's a lot of admin. The nails, it's a lot. I will tell you about it later.
I want to get on to a little more what happens on the pitch. Before I do, what's it like going back to Zwedi
It's nice. It's the best.
as who you are today, but you were that little boy, and you said it earlier, going to my neighbors saying, I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Can you have you got food for me? What's it like seeing those neighbors again? How do they react to you?
We actually went back. We did our first donations for food, because after we did the PPE with Espen, then the doctors were like, we're fine, we don't need any more. All we wanted to encourage you is to keep people at home. And I told the foundation that I know this very well, because the only way you keep people at home is by giving food, because then they don't have to. That's the only reason why people would leave the house, to not only maybe to communicate with their neighbors, but food is the biggest thing. Then I started donating back, and then I went back to Sweden, and I will never forget. We actually have a video of it in the foundation, where one of the ladies that grew up, that was my grandmother's friend, said to me, I will never forget the days that you came and asked us for a cup. You've now multiplied that cup for a meal. For 9 months, we gave them a meal that could feed more than 6 people, or 6 people, for 9 months during COVID. And she said, I'll never forget that. I'm grateful that I gave you that cup, but I gave it to you out of the goodness of my heart. And I didn't do it so you could do this. But yeah, they were really grateful, and it hit home, like to see that, and to see people that I grew up around, and but it's never enough. They always struggling. But when I go back now, it's nice. I really do love it. It's become a little bit more dangerous, a little bit, because people that don't have jobs, more and more people, the gangsters are taking over, which is something that we're trying to change, because we just want to. I want to just change the narrative, especially for the kids.
Yeah.
Like, my biggest thing now, I don't like talking about my struggle. I don't like talking about how tough it is in the township. People, I'm sure they know that. And if people care about that, they're going to go. People need to go to the township, so that we don't have to say it the whole time, because people get tired of it. My thing is to change the mindset of people in the township, like kids like me, not having those dreams of being a taxi driver. Why? Because now they have living proof that it's possible. There's many others that they can dream where they are, being hungry, not having food or TV or shoes to go to school, because it's been done before by me and many other people. That's why representation is so important. And it's something that must be more encouraged. And that's why I want to go there and I speak to the kids. I'm like, just because we keep on telling them, no, you can't do it, because the parents can't do it. They tell the kids they can't do it. They must dream big. I listened to something the other day. When you're a kid, when you're born until you're 7, your parents always tell you can be whatever you want to be, and you always feel like a superhero. But then the older you get, they start changing that tone because of the difficulties of what's happening around the world. We should encourage the kids to dream like that, and be as well as they can. That's why every time I go back, I tell them it's possible. It's possible. It's been done before. I went last week actually, and I spoke to them, to the kids in my club, and I told them, I promise you, just keep coming here every day, because I'm telling you, there's nothing better out there, because I've been there, I've experienced this, I've done everything you can possibly think of. But here you can learn so many different things that will help you, even if you don't make it in sport, in your life in general.
See, that's almost a perfect way to end this discussion. I don't want to end it there, though. I want to give you one last chance just to, I think you've kind of summed up the book in what you've just shared now, but if I had to push you for a final comment, a thought, a message, what do you want people, once they've read this, what's the one thing you want them to walk away with and never forget?
That's hard. I think, that's hard, because there's a lot of things in that book. I can't choose one. But I think the biggest thing for us as people is just to try and understand each other more, and talk a lot more, and be honest a whole lot more with one another, because I think there are so many conversations that are just left hanging and not being spoken about. And I think we need to understand, like, who you are as a person is the most important. That's what I found, like, talking about the book. I know who I am. Even in my leadership, I know what I'm good at, and I know what I'm not good at. And I'm secure. What I'm good at is enough, is exactly what I need to be in the position that I'm in. I'm fine with that. And if there's another leader who's better than me at something else, I feel free when they speak, because it's not about me. It's about the team. And that's what happened when I played my first game as captain. They scored 3 quick tries, England. We're losing 21-0. And everybody looked at me. I was like, I don't know what to say. You speak. And I told one of my teammates to speak. And that's the important thing, because the world makes us to compete the whole time, and that's not going to help anyone. And in talking about, like, self-care, and I think I want to encourage you guys. You probably do it already, but I think mentally, just look after yourself, because it's always easy for you guys to help other people. It's easy, but you forget yourself. And that's what we're trying to do with our foundation. No one looks after the people that I help with the foundation, the work, because it's a lot to work. When COVID started, I drove 21,000 kilometers around South Africa, donating food in different areas. And I was more hurt, like emotionally drained, to see how backwards our country is going after so many years of after so many years of democracy. It's just getting worse and worse, especially in communities. And that I remember I had to do a talk, and I couldn't speak, because I couldn't believe what I saw, where some of the people live and how they live. And I thought I struggled, but there are people who are struggling even more. And I think, it's important that you guys make sure in the offices, like, you have to have somebody that you can talk to, and you can express yourself and be real. If you're tired, you're tired. You must tell the other person, I'm struggling today with this. Can't bottle everything up, because you guys are so important in our society. We need you to be at your best at all times, and to be at your best, you have to look after yourself, take care of yourself internally, and we try and hide it, we try and act hardcore. It's not going to help in the long run. It's not going to help you, because then you start becoming miserable. Not just, you'll be good in the office, but when you get home, you're letting out on other people. And let's just have compassion for one another. And we're all allowed to have a bad day, but you can't be a bad day every day, though. You must just choose your days. But thank you for everything that you do and the ideas that you come up with. And I know, like, the public will not come and say thank you, and it's always the the people that were doing amazing work that never get the great work, but Stavros always gets, oh, well done, you're doing well. It's funny, but yeah, keep on doing what you're doing, and just remember, when you work, find someone, even if it's, I don't know, a young child, find something more than making enough money for you and your family, putting your kids to school. Find one kid, or you as an office, come up with something that can help someone else, something that's going to drive you far more than, because that's what we need in South Africa. I'm telling you now, we, the people, are going to change this country. We, as soon as we start taking action, we can inspire the government to make change. And for me, that's my whole thing with my foundation. For the kids at school, I keep on talking to them like that. I speak life to them. And a lot of people are like, our country stuff, if we are still hopeful, we are fine. We just keep on speaking the good message of this country. We have a beautiful country, and it's not going to stop until we decide, no, we're tired, it's over. We must just keep on pushing forward.
Siya Kolisi, thank you so very, very much. Ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, go for it. I don't know about you, but I'm thinking, why stop at the Springbok captaincy? There's the presidency. That would be really great, you know. So I don't want to create a storm or a rush or a mob, but Siya is going to be in the exhibition hall downstairs during lunch. He's going to be signing books, going to be taking photographs. Please make sure you get one of those before you leave the conference today. While you are down at the exhibition hall, there is a product theater. The innovation, the health tech startups that Mandy talked about earlier with that Eye of the Tiger walk-up are all going to be pitching at that product theater. It's a silent pitch. In other words, you've got some earphones in your conference bag. Take those earphones out, plug them into the little device that's on your chair, listen to some of these pitches. Sanofi, Yeza, Nusi, Barcode, Biocode, and more. Please want to encourage you to go and listen to that. Enjoy lunch. Lunch is a full hour and a half. So we break now at 1 o'clock. We're going to be back here at 2:30. Do enjoy. Thank you for the first morning session. It's been great. We'll see you at 2:30. Take care.